I'm Amanda, and this is the Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Welcome to today's episode. I have Orlando. He is the one and only Quiltysaurus long arming and embroidery. All I've heard is fantastic, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous things about this person. So I'm really looking forward to this chat, as I hope you are as well. Let's jump in. Did you know you can now support me through patreon.com? If you head to patreon.com/notyourgranny's-quilt-show, you can sign up and get yourself a Not Your Granny's Quilt Show logo sticker. So hop on over there today and show your support. Are you a long-time listener but a zero times watcher? Well, guess what? You can head over to YouTube and subscribe to our Not Your Granny's Quilt Show YouTube channel to follow along on video and see any of the visuals or any fun, fantastic things we have to show you. So go ahead and hop over there, subscribe today, and get some fun visual content. If you're already a listener, thank you so much for being here. What I would love is if you hopped on over to your podcast platform that you listen to the show on and give us some stars or leave a review or comment. Let us know what we're doing that you love, and just show us some love. We love you, so you can love us back. Thanks. Well, welcome to the show, Orlando. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. As soon as I talked with Emily from Peach and Honey Studio, and she was just like gushing about how much she loves you and how important you are to her, what she does, I was like, I got to talk to this guy because
Oh
she's
man.
in love.
I don't know why. I'm just a normal dude. Like nothing special, nothing crazy. It's just me.
But you do, which as a fellow long armor, like we do
Yeah.
something very special for people, and I think
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that. It's a big deal.
Yeah. We really do. Like getting the reactions from people and the comments that you get after you work on someone's baby pretty much. Because some of these quilts take months, not or even years to put together. So
Hmm.
then, like when you finally give them back that final finished product, people are like in love.
Yeah.
That's when they start to gush and
Hmm.
and send you nice messages and sing your praises to everybody. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like, and that's why I tell people too. It's like, yeah, your quilt top's great, but like wait till it's quilted and then it gets a personality and
yeah,
then it comes to life. And
yeah.
it's crazy how much, like this one that's behind me, I hated it for the longest time. And then my mom was finally like, just quilt it. And I was like, fine. So I did. And I was like, just kidding. I love it.
Because that's what pretty much long arming does to a quilt. It just transforms it. It doesn't. A lot of people say that they don't want to get the quilts long on because then they feel like it's not theirs. But we're just here to zhuzh it up a little bit and give it
Yeah.
just a little bit of extra character.
Hmm.
The original piece of art is still there, so
Hmm.
we're not really changing that in the slightest. We're just, I
Yeah.
believe that we just enhance the
Yeah.
quilt.
Yeah.
That's what we pretty much do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I feel that same way. And I think too, just especially, as a long armor, when you have a relationship with the quilter
yeah,
and with your clients, like when you get to start to know them, we're just translating what, how we feel about you, or like
yeah.
what we know of you onto your quilts.
Exactly,
Like we're
exactly.
helping
That's
you
yeah,
communicate the total of your design. So
yeah. And we put a lot of love into other people's quotes too.
yeah, right,
Because like I've been quoting so many quotes that I will probably never be able to make myself.
right,
Because I mean it's only a certain amount of hours in the day, and it's only and
yeah,
you're also working on your own projects too. So
yeah.
it's kind of cool that you get to like feel and play around with other people's quotes.
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was literally talking about
Yeah.
that yesterday with my mom because we were long arming for some clients we have, and it's like a mom and daughter, and then the mom's daughter-in-law. No, I don't know. Anyway, they're all related, and
Mhm.
the three of them, they will bring us all these quilts, and they always use art gallery, and they always make like the like lo and behold patterns, or what's the other one that they make? I don't know. Anyway, just like all these really pretty modern patterns that like
Yeah,
my mom and I haven't really had time to dive into or like make for ourselves. And, using all the art gallery fabrics that we love so much because we're obsessed with art gallery. I
yeah,
mean, let's be honest, I'm obsessed with like a million quilt cottons,
yeah,
but I was like, it's so fun that they bring us when they bring us their quilts because we get to play with and interact and like quilt these gorgeous quilts that
yeah.
we wouldn't have been able to make ourselves, or probably, we don't have to buy the fabric, but we still get to play with it. And like,
Exactly,
so
exactly. So we get a
it's,
feel for all these new fabrics that come out. Like I love tulip pink. I also love
oh my,
organic fabrics as well.
yeah,
So and I have a lot of tulip pink fabric.
yeah, me too.
A lot of basics. That's what I pretty much gravitate towards too. But some of these collections and some of these tulip pink quilt kits that people bring
Mhm.
me, I'm like, oh my god,
I
these
know.
things are amazing.
Hmm.
And the way that people put them together, the combinations, like
Yeah,
it's astounding, pretty much.
yeah, it's really cool. I know my friend made the pineapple quilt kit for the
Yeah,
Tula. What line was that? I don't know. Anyway, because she's the one out of my quilty besties that will like pick the really
yeah,
intricate patterns, and we're like, "Why do you do this to yourself?" Because she's like, "Oh, I have to sew all these 2-inch squares," and I'm like, "Gross, get it away from me." But she made the pineapples, and just like getting to help her long arm it and pick a cute
yeah,
pantograph and like get a really pretty minky on the back for the
yeah.
texture. And oh my God, it just when it was done, I was like, it's magical.
Like some of them I want to like keep for myself, but I can't.
No. I
So
know.
I had to give them back. I get so many cool quotes
Yeah.
that I would just love to keep, but I can't. Once I'm done with them, I got to give them back. That's the whole idea. So
Yeah. I know
yeah,
those quotes my mom and I were talking about yesterday that we had finished because it was like daughter brought 3 and the mom brought 2.
mhm,
And so we had, these 5 quilts, and they were all one was Ruby Star, the rest of them were Art Gallery.
yeah,
And my mom was like, "Oh no, I can't find your quilts. I don't know what happened to them. I cannot return them to you."
yeah,
I was like, "Oopsie, we just got 5 new quilts." Like we were just joking about keeping them, which we obviously never would do, but
yeah.
unless somebody didn't pay. But that's
That
it.
that that's a different situation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not like we just want to keep it because it's pretty. But
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, it's just funny, like, and, like, kinda how attached you get to someone else's quilt, even though you know it's
yeah,
not gonna stay. It's just like, we do put a piece of ourselves into it as long armors, and
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
so
Because a lot of people ask me for so on my website I have a section, what pantograph would you like?
yeah.
And then a lot of people leave it blank, so they kind of put the the burden on me.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I try to work with clients and kind of give them some suggestions.
Yeah.
So just so they can, I ask them a couple questions like, do you like floral? Do you like?
Mhm.
I try to pick at least 2 or 3 that I kind of like and I
Mhm.
feel would go nice with the quilt, and
Mhm.
then they can choose from there. So I still make clients choose
Yeah.
because they're the ones that are going to have to live with the quilt,
Right?
not me.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely do the same because we have, I'm sure like you do, have hundreds of patterns, and, like,
yeah,
I saw that you use a Q24.
yeah,
And, we have an APQS Millie 30, so she's a beast,
yeah.
um,
How
like,
do is it easy to do free motion on a Milli 30?
no. No, so we do strictly digital. Like, there is some
Okay.
stuff that we'll do freehand if it's like, we had somebody bring us, like, a quilt top that was made out of, like, old jeans and sweatshirts,
Mhm.
and it was so hefty, and there was, like, patches and pockets, and so we just did some free motion
Yeah.
meandering. And, I've done a couple of custom that the lady just wanted stippling, and, um, it was like a chicken. It's called hen or fox in the hen house
Mhm.
pattern, and so there's, like, a bunch of different blocks that were chickens, and so she
Yeah.
wanted some of them with hearts in the wing, and then anyway, so
Yeah.
that is okay. But yeah, if it's like real small, real super customized, then
Mhm.
we just were like, nope, digital only,
Yeah.
because the Millie is not meant for that. But their smaller models do a really good
Yeah.
job. So
Yeah.
But we like the digital format, and so that's why we want that. But I know, like, I was working at a local quilt shop here for a little bit, and I was working in the long arming studio, go
Yeah.
figure, and helping teach the long arming classes. And they have some APQS, but they also have, because they're a Bernina dealer,
Yeah.
they have the Q24 set up for
Yeah.
to quilt client quilts, but then also people can rent it. And
Yeah.
watching people do free motion on that, I was like, oh dang, and she's smooth, like
Very smooth. Yeah.
very light, very smooth, which I was like, which would get people in hot water because they try to be going super fast on their pantographs, like when they're doing them by hand. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to slow down. But
Because the machine can only do so much.
right, it's like it can't go that fast. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, see that flashing, see how the screen's flashing red, and hear it sound like it's about to fly off in outer space? Like, you gotta stop. But
Exactly.
anyway, that's a good, like, I liked it. It's definitely different than the Quilt Path software that was learning the Q, is it
Yeah.
Qmatic?
Qmatic. Yeah.
Was definitely a learning curve, but now that I know it, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I can't like do a lot, but I know how to set up a pantograph. So
Yeah. That's my specialty. Study of pentagram.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a cool system. It's very there is a slight learning curve, but it's very intuitive. Like all the
Mhm.
buttons are laid out pretty well.
Yeah.
There was a recent upgrade to the system, so it runs a lot smoother, a lot faster now.
Yeah.
So long arming and quilting in general, it's a lot of fun.
It is so
It,
fun.
it does make you cry sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's just life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There have definitely been tears and words. Words have been said.
lots of spicy language,
Yeah,
you would
exactly.
say.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, ooh, mom, you might want to plug yours for this one.
Exactly. Just keep them covered.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
like,
gonna be,
just,
I'm gonna be saying a lot of stuff for a while.
I know. Like, put your
Yeah.
noise canceling headphones in. She's like, okay. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man, that's so funny.
Yeah.
But
I think I've cried twice.
mm,
And both of those times it involved the monofilament thread.
oh gosh. Yep. That'll do
Yeah,
it.
that'll do it. It took like a week to undo 3 rows. Yeah, but
Ew.
then my fingers were like bare
Yeah.
after like day 2.
You're like,
So
I can't
yeah,
quilt for a year.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
exactly.
man, that's awful.
I do like using it for my own quotes, especially if I have a quote that has a lot of colors and I don't really
Hmm.
want to change threads too much. But
Yeah.
it's very testy. It's very thin.
Hmm.
It's literally almost invisible, so it's very hard to take out.
Hmm.
So, and you have to constantly watch it. So you have to hover over the machine. So, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
That might,
doable, but it just takes time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, just like anything, really. Like, if you have the patience for it, it's fine, but
Yeah. The older I get, the less patience I have. So it's
mm,
like,
truly,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't have time for this.
Is it really worth it? No, it isn't.
Right. What's your favorite thread to use?
I love Glide. Glide, that's my go-to.
Hmm.
I like Aurifilter too
Hmm.
for quilting, but Glide just doesn't give me any issues. The stitches always look nice.
Hmm.
That's like my go-to. If I could use
Nice.
Glide for everything, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I offer both Glide and Primo Soft because some people don't like the shiny threads.
Hmm.
So Primo Soft is like a matte cotton-like polyester thread.
Okay.
Quilt's really nice too, but I prefer the Glide because Glide it just looks clean and like crisp. So that's
Hmm.
like my go-to thread. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Glide too. I used it, that quilt shop that I was working
Mhm.
at, they use
Yeah.
it. And they have the Omni from Superior also, which is what we
Yeah.
use on
Mhm.
ours. And like we fine-tuned our tension and like the machine to use it. So if we ever switch, it's like, okay, we have to be really patient and
Yeah.
like work with the tension and stuff. It's fine, but I think because we've like worked so much with Omni, it's kind of like it is hard to switch, and I love it, but yeah, it's like has that more cotton look versus the Glide that
Yeah.
is very
The Glide.
shiny and
Yeah.
smooth, and
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
it
Because
does quilt up
yeah,
nice.
because a lot of people like the traditional look of a quilt. So
Hmm.
the shiny glide, it's a little modern. So
Hmm.
not a lot of people like it,
Yeah.
but it quilt's awesome.
Yeah. It really does. It's really nice.
Yeah. I actually started using Omni when I first got my long run,
Hmm.
and it quilted really nice. It's just a little bit thick for me.
Hmm.
I think the Glide 40 is just a little bit thinner,
Hmm.
but I didn't have any issues. Very strong,
Yeah.
gives you that nice matte look.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just
Yeah,
all down to like what you want your quilting to look like. And
exactly.
there's nothing like bad or, it's like not a moral thing. It's not good or bad. It's just
Yeah,
preference. And, if people want different, we'll get different. But
yeah,
usually people are fine with the Omni we have. And, it's like, I think ultimately they're just like, I don't care, just quilt my quilt. Unless they're like, no, I really specifically want this. It's like, all right,
yeah,
then we'll do it. But,
yeah. I feel
um,
like the newer cultures don't really care,
yeah.
but the cultures that have been quilting for a long time, they do. They
Mhm.
very specific. They know what they want. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Which is, it's like, okay, then we'll do that. It's,
okay, yeah. It's your quilt. Whatever you
yeah.
want me to do to it,
Yeah.
that's what I'll do to it.
Yeah. Unless it's like really, like, literally cannot be done. It's like, I'm not here to police your preference. Like,
Exactly.
if you ask me for my opinion, I'll tell you, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah,
And then I will tell you straight up if I'm like, no, that's not going to work.
yeah,
That's not how physics is.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because different machines have different quirks.
Hmm.
My machine doesn't like to go from right to left.
Hmm.
She does not like that at all.
Yeah.
So yes, but you just have to work around those little quirks and
Yeah.
just make it work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like so funny because our machine does it, she can do right to left. Like, and when you set up the pantographs, like it'll automatically, how the system is
Mhm.
now, it'll automatically fill the whole throat with
Yeah,
however much it can quilt, which I think the Qmatic does that as well, but
yeah,
you don't have to like reset every row. Like it'll just go,
yeah,
it'll go left to right and then come down, go right to left, left to
yeah,
right. Like, well, like it'll do that and it does it by itself. And then if we're stitching down like the bottom edge, like we can go
mhm,
from the right corner to the left corner and it
yeah,
works just fine. But like all the APQS machines at the quilt shop, you couldn't do that with those. Like the
yeah,
thread would break, the needle would get jammed. Like people, I'd watch like renters try it all the time. I'm like, no, stop. We like we had a moment where just like a 2-month period where people were just like snapping needles and like throwing the machines out of timing. And I was like, what is going on right now? Because they all kept trying to go right to left. I'm like,
yeah,
I swear. And we started telling people, like, listen, if you do this again, you're going to have to pay for the repairs. Like, we give you
yeah,
these rules
yeah,
for a reason.
yeah. And those repairs are not cheap.
No, exactly. So,
They're
like,
not cheap. Yeah,
when you're working on your own machine, it's like you know your machine, its idiosyncrasies,
yeah,
its little quirks and stuff. So it's like so much easier to just like work on your own machine and
exactly.
be the one who uses it, instead of trying to let other people use it. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. But so how long have you been long arming?
So I started in February of 2022,
Oh wow.
and so I think a year and a couple months, a year and 4 months maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, so just not that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you like immediately start a business or did you give yourself some time to practice before you started?
So I got the machine December of 2021, and I was in business like 2 months later.
Yeah.
Because I had already known that if I were to, to justify getting the alarm, I knew that I had to cover other people
Yeah.
because there's no way in hell that I can justify getting this machine to quote
No.
my 3 quotes that I make every year.
Right? You're like, this is kind of expensive.
Exactly. So yeah, it wasn't going to be a vanity thing, like because
Yeah.
I could easily save my save the money, just send my own quotes to get long run. But I just fell in love with the idea. The mistake I made was just playing around with the long run to begin with,
Mhm.
because I absolutely fell in love, and I was like, I have to have one of these machines.
Yep.
So again, the only reason for me to get it was to quote for other people. So that's how the whole business started. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
That's
fun. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah,
yeah.
I don't regret it at all.
Good. Yeah. I don't either. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, same thing. We were like, we love this too much to keep renting, from the quilt
yeah,
shop. So we were like, let's just get our own and start a business. And
yeah, yeah. Because that can get pretty expensive. Like renting. I mean, it also depends on the area you're in
mhm,
and your coach up as well. Rent some time in the machine can get expensive too.
yeah,
So yeah,
truly. And as much
mm,
as like we were renting it, it was like, okay, we need to, something has to happen here. Like we either need to slow down on making quilts, which is a huge joke, or we need to look into like how we can make this feasible, like for
yeah,
ourselves and like also offer a service. And like it honestly is so busy still, like, obviously through COVID things dipped a bit, but
yeah,
like we still had our core group of like clients who would drop stuff outside the front door, and like they're the ones who just like come in, they're like, do whatever you want, bye, and then they leave. We're like,
yeah,
okay. But we've quilted for them enough. We know what
yeah.
they like and what their preferences are. And that's fun too. Like you were saying, people leave it blank on your form, but it's like it is nice to know. But I think once you build that relationship and get to know that person, if they bring you enough
Exactly.
quilting, it's kind of like, okay, you can then pick for them. And then it
Yeah,
lets you play a little bit. And I get a little risky sometimes with some of them. I'm like, okay, this time I tried hot pink thread and I did this thing. And like, I don't think my mom would ever do that, but I'm like,
yeah,
I'm here to push that envelope a little
yeah,
bit. And they always love it because they're like, I never would have picked that. I'm like, oh, it was great.
yeah.
So,
I have a client of mine. She's pretty close to me. She has dropped over 10 quotes to me, and at this point, she doesn't even fill out the form. She's she doesn't really need to,
yeah,
because
right.
I know her style. I know what she likes.
Hmm.
Whatever I suggest to her, she always likes and she always goes with it. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
no issues there. Like you said, I suggested to her. I'm obsessed with hot pink
Yeah.
fluorescent neon
Yeah.
neon, and she agrees. She was like, okay, cool, let's do it, and the
Mhm.
code came up beautiful. So like
Yeah.
she trusts my style and my taste, so which is pretty cool to have to have clients like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, clients that will let you do whatever the hell you want
Hmm.
on their codes,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It makes it kind of more fun because then it's like you get that experience of choosing what your preference is for that quilt when maybe you don't get to for your own quilts that
yeah.
often, like, because like you've probably found out quilting for other people kind of puts a little bit of a wrench in working on your own personal projects,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to get a quote on my own quote done for the past 2 months, and so I've been able to. So just
yeah.
I finished the tattoo quote.
Uh-huh.
I finished it like 3 months ago.
Oh wow.
Everything's done. I have the batting, I have the backing done. I'm just ready to quote it, but just haven't had a chance because like when I get the queue down,
Yeah.
then four more show up,
Right.
and then three more show up, and it just keeps coming in. So
Yeah.
client quotes always take priority. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's how it is. So yeah,
Yeah, it's like, okay, nights and weekends only, and
yeah,
sometimes even then we're still working, so
exactly.
but, I
Exactly.
mean, I'd rather it be busy business-wise than be like, "Well, I guess I'll just keep making my own projects because we don't have any
Mm,
jobs," like,
exactly.
it's kind
Yeah,
of
those could wait. So there's really no rush. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And I think sometimes when I think like, "Oh, I'm gonna just take a few days off of, like, working, and I'm gonna just sew for myself," and it's like everything else in the world piles up on those days, and so
yeah,
that I don't even end up having time to sew, and I'm like, "Gosh dang it." I really wanted to get that quilt made.
yeah,
But,
yeah. And me, I like complicated quilts.
mm,
I'm a masochist in that sense, like, which is crazy. I love complex quilts that are take a lot of time,
yeah,
that make me cry, give me headaches.
yeah,
So those are like the ones that I love. Foundation paper facing.
yeah,
The tinier the pieces, the better. So yeah, so those take time anyway. So they're not gonna get done anytime soon.
yeah. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm the opposite. I'm like, "Give me big blocks, give me big pieces, like, half square triangles,
yeah,
preference," like,
yeah,
no. But it's funny, like, what people, like, kind of like, what you end up liking and fall
yeah,
to as far as, like,
yeah,
patterns go and where your attention goes to, and Like I was stuck, as you can see, stuck in the half square triangle game. So I was like, every quilt I was making was like, okay, what else can I do with half square triangles? until I until I tested for Caterina Rochella, and then it was like, oh, I can do other stuff too. And
Yeah.
now that I have like some new skills under my belt, the other stuff doesn't seem so scary. So I've been branching out. But yeah, it's like I was so excited because my youngest stepson graduated from high school last
Mhm.
week, and
Yeah.
I was gonna have this quilt ready for him. We had it picked out. He had told me the colors, like all this stuff, and I just couldn't get to it. And so I like the day before his graduation, I was like frantically trying to sew it together. And I was like, you know what? Let's just stop. I'm freaking out. Like the machine is freaking out. Like he's not going anywhere for a while. So I need to
Yeah.
just calm down. But
Yeah.
it was I think, yeah, like, even if you have the greatest of intentions to get to something for yourself, it's like it's that balance when you're a business owner, like running your own business.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So
So
yeah, I've been trying to finish a quote for my mom since the summer of last year.
oh my god.
Yeah, but it'll get done eventually.
Yeah, yeah, for
One day.
sure.
Yeah.
One day. So are
One
you
day.
quilting full time? Like, is that your full
No,
time?
no. So I still work full time. So I just quilt nights, nights and weekends.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so usually once my workday is done at 5 o'clock, that's when I start um doing my long arm gig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I try to finish at least 3 or 4 a week.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Because my turnaround time when I first started, my turnaround time was like a week.
Mm.
But once you start getting more popular and quotes start coming in and people know who you are,
Yeah.
then they bring you 5 quotes at a time,
Yeah.
3 quotes at a time, six
Uh-huh.
quotes at a time.
Yep.
So it got a lot busier. So I
Mhm.
recently had to change my turnaround time to 2 to 3 weeks,
Oh, wow.
just to set that expectation because
Yeah.
I only have 2 hands
Right?
and the machine can only do so much. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, "It only can quilt so fast." Like,
yeah,
if you bring me 3 queen size quilts, like, it's gonna take a minute.
exactly. And the machine just stitches.
Right?
That's all the machine does. Everything else, the loading, the
Mhm.
ironing, the
Yep.
binding, you have to take care of that yourself. So
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Well, and I think people are pretty understanding, like, if they're like, "Okay, how long is it gonna take?" If I'm like, I don't know, 3 weeks." They're like, "Oh, that's it? Okay, great." I'm like,
yeah,
"Cool." But I know at one point, at the quilt shop, it was like a 4 or 5 week turnaround because we just had
yeah,
so many quilts in the queue, and it was like, "Holy crap." And, like, now we're kinda getting to that point at Sweet Pea, and it's kinda like, "Okay." I mean, we're not 5 weeks out, but,
yeah,
like, our Etsy orders, like, so many came in right at the same time that it's like, we literally have, like, 10, like, custom made quilts due to clients by the end of July, and I'm like, "Huh, okay."
yeah. And I also think that cultures, for the most part, are very like understanding,
Yeah.
because they know that these things take time
Mhm.
because they make quotes themselves. So it's like
Yeah.
if it takes an extra week, they don't really press me for it. They totally understand. Like I try to keep communication with clients all the time. Like, listen,
Yeah.
this happened. Unfortunately, I can't get it to you by this time. And a lot of them are super, super understanding. So
Yeah. Yeah, and
yeah,
if people are like, "I need a rush on this," it's like, "Okay,
yeah,
well, they'll
yeah,
I'll get it done as soon as I can." And
yeah,
again, they're still really understanding, and they're like
yeah,
they at least give us like, "Oh, I just need it in 2 weeks." I'm
mm,
like, "Oh, great. Got
yeah,
that,"
yeah,
if that's
yeah,
a rush to you,
and
then.
yeah. If that's if there was only 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but I'd rather take my time, take a little bit of extra time, just making sure that the code is absolutely perfect
Mhm.
before I give it to you. Because if I'm gonna rush through it, then that's when mistakes happen, and then you gotta unpick a lot of stitches, and it's gonna delay stuff even more. So I'd rather just take my time, make sure that code looks absolutely perfect before I give it back to you. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
because I want the stitches to look nice on both sides.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that philosophy, like, and thankfully, like, my mom and I have that same philosophy of
yeah,
like, if we don't love it, if we don't feel good about it, we're not going to send it out the door. And so,
exactly.
and same thing, where like, if you get your quilt home and something's wrong with it or it's not to your specifications, like, we'll try to help fix it. Like, we can't do it, you know, or I mean,
Yeah.
and there have been times where we just straight up were like, nope, this is not working. And we've picked an entire quilt out because we
Yeah.
hated it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the client, it was us, you know. It's like our name is on that. This is a important thing. Like I don't want to send anything out the door that I feel wishy-washy about.
Yeah.
Like, even if it wouldn't be my preference of pantograph or color of thread, like that doesn't matter to me. It's the quality that matters. I was gonna ask you about QuiltCon because I haven't been
Mm,
yet. We're gonna go next year.
yeah.
But how was it? Was this your first time there or
Yeah. Yes, it was my first time. It was so much fun. Like I was only there for like a day and a quarter
yeah?
because I flew me and my friend Vicky from Suspicious.
Mhm.
Um, I asked her, I was like, okay, Vicky, do you want to go to QuiltCon? I was like, I'm gonna go. Like, do you want to
Yeah.
go? And she's like, I'll think about it. And then like 30 minutes later, she texts me, okay, let's go. And we went. So we booked everything maybe like a week out.
Oh,
So
wow.
we flew in Friday night after work. We just went.
Mhm.
And then we got there Friday like around maybe like 6 o'clock. And it was so much fun. Like we got to meet people that you have been following for such a long time on Instagram,
Yeah.
and they recognize you and they know who you are. It's just so freaking cool, like to
Oh.
get to meet like so many cool people and people that love the exact same thing that you love as well, which is quilting. So
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. Like I wish I would have like so next year we're going again, and this year I also want to take some classes because the classes from this year looks so much fun. So I definitely want
Mhm.
to take maybe like two or three. And yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely gonna go this year with just a little bit more time to do stuff.
Right. I'm just a day.
Yeah, yeah, but it's just so cool to watch so many cool quotes, and it was just amazing. We had such a blast,
Yeah.
such a blast.
Oh, that's
Yeah. And
so
I and
cool.
I and I got to meet Emily in person to
Yeah.
talking to her for so long on through IG. So it
Yeah.
was really cool.
That's
Yeah,
so cool. I'm so jazzed about it because I just think, especially from doing the show, like
yeah,
I've met a lot of people through Zoom like this, but it's like not
yeah,
in person. And so it's like I want to meet all of these people in person because I feel like we're friends now and
yeah.
I've like never met them. And so and I did just see um my brain just went blank. Ashlyn from the she and her sister-in-law have the Grateful Thread
Hmm.
podcast and
Yeah,
Urban Dwell.
I did get to meet him. Yeah,
Okay,
at
good.
QuiltCon, which is
She's gonna
cool.
be teaching at next year. So I'm like, okay, well, I definitely want to take her class and, you know, just looking at like what kind of things are gonna be provided and yeah, just like learning and meeting people. And I want to take like, you know, a bunch of logo stickers for Not Your Granny's Quilt Show
Yeah,
and pass them out to my
yeah.
homies and
I got a lot of stickers. A
really,
lot of stickers. Yeah, which is
ooh,
pretty cool.
that's fun. I love
Um,
stickers.
yeah, yeah. But it was so much fun. Such a blast. Like I would, like the kids say, definitely recommend it. 10 out of 10.
10
So
out of 10. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I'm so stoked.
yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And then like my youngest brother lives in South Carolina. So my mom
mhm,
and I are like, okay, can we go to Raleigh and then can we visit them? Like I think it's like a 4 hour trip
yeah,
to where they live. I'm like, okay, we could go to Raleigh and then we can like rent a car. We can drive down to South Carolina and then we can fly home from there. Like
yeah.
I'm like, can we take 2 weeks off of work? Yes, we can. Like
Yeah, but definitely. I mean, I was looking. I was waiting for the classes to come out before I booked the
Mhm.
hotel,
Yeah.
but then the hotels are already booked.
Yeah.
So everything's like sold out. So I pretty much have to figure out other accommodations. Yeah,
I know. We were like, well, we could just get a hotel a little farther. We'll want to rent a car anyway. So we're just like
yeah,
scheming on like what we're gonna do. But yeah, I was kind of
yeah,
waiting for classes too, because I'm like, well, if we get a because they have like the class pass thing where you get like you can go to any of the classes,
hmm,
right? Is that how it works? I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
so just kind of like weighing our options and
yeah,
I'm like, it feels frantic to sign up for it right now because it's like you said, the hotels are booking out and you know, are they gonna have enough spots in the classes
yeah,
we want to take? And it's crazy like how quickly all that stuff fills out. But I think
yeah.
it's just a testament of like how many people go that love it, that want to keep going back because of
Yeah,
how much they get from it. And I'm just excited to
yeah,
be part of that crowd now. So
yeah, yeah. It's really cool. And quilters, they're great partiers. They're a fun time.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yay. That's so exciting.
Yeah,
I am looking forward to it and getting to meet everybody. And yeah, it'll
yeah.
be cool.
It's just cool too because there were a couple of people that I they were talking to me and I had no idea who these people were. But then when they told me their screen name, their
The handle.
username on Instagram, I know who you are.
You're
And
like,
then
oh shit.
oh my god! And then everything like fell into place. I was like, okay, okay, now we're good. Let's do this.
You're like, I don't know your first name, but I know your
No,
IG handle.
exactly, exactly. So it was a lot of that,
Hmm. Oh my gosh.
but it was really cool. Yeah,
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I'm so excited. That makes me even more excited. I keep asking everybody I know that's been, I'm like, so how was it? Like, give me all the
yeah,
details.
and the shopping is great.
Mm,
I mean, the prices are the same as your local cool shop, but it's just cool. Like
but
if
it's
you see something that you like, just grab it. Yeah,
yeah,
it's cool.
yeah. It's the experience of like, oh, I got this at QuiltCon, like
Yeah,
creating those memories, which I think is the more important thing. It's like, yeah, I could get that back home, but
yeah,
then I would just be like, oh yeah, I got it at my LQS. But if you
yeah,
can say you got it at QuiltCon, then it's like 10 times cooler.
exactly. And I definitely recommend bring a water bottle so you stay
Mm,
hydrated and comfortable shoes because your dogs are gonna bark
yeah,
after a
yeah,
couple hours. So
yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited. I
yeah.
also want to have my quilt coat made um before we go so I can wear it.
And there's a lot of trendy people. They make such cool stuff, like a lot of cool like sweaters and cool
Mhm.
coats, a lot of cool bags. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so stoked. Okay, now I want to like get on there and sign up ASAP.
Yeah.
Be like, Mom,
Yeah.
we're doing this. Get plane tickets today. No,
Yeah.
those we'll wait for until they're better price. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a little crazy right now. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, okay, back to your business because this just popped in my head. So you do embroidery also, I saw.
I do. So most of the embroidery I do is just like embroidery quilt labels.
Okay, I was gonna ask,
'Cause a
yeah.
lot of people like want to have their information personalized with the quotes. So I
Yeah,
don't get a lot of those, but they do pop up every now and then.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
but most of the focus right now is just like the long arming part. Yeah,
Okay.
and binding. I got a lot of requests for binding because
Mhm.
people hate binding. I personally love binding. I don't mind doing it at all.
Yeah,
But yeah, I got a lot of requests for binding.
yeah,
It's crazy how much people hate binding. They
yeah,
just want me to do it for them. So yeah,
yeah. My mom will do the hand binding, but if people want it bound by machine, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't bother me at all, but
yeah,
by hand, I'm like, I'd rather do anything else.
yeah. Hand binding. I love the look of the hand binding. It just
Mhm.
takes forever,
I know.
and I don't offer hand binding because I feel like I kind of feel guilty charging for him because you have to charge a lot because it can take you a long time to hand
Yep,
bind a quilt. So
I
I
know.
feel guilty charging that much, so I don't offer it at all. So I just do machine binding,
Yeah,
and that's it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I don't when my mom's like, "Oh, I'll just bind that." She'll just, like, sit and watch movies and bind, but she's fast too, like, it, like, looks really good and she's fast, and I'm like, "Then you can have it. That's yours. That's your task in our business." Like,
yeah.
I don't not me. Mm-mm. No,
But
thank
that's
you.
good. That's cool that you have someone that can help you out. Me, I'm
Yeah,
I'm my own human resources,
right.
marketing,
Oh, yeah.
everything, web support, everything. So it's it's cool to have someone that can help you out. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It is nice to definitely have, like, another person to be like, "Hey, can you handle this while I handle that?" And, like,
yeah,
my dad and my husband will get involved too because 'cause they're technically owners in the business, but,
yeah.
they don't quilt, so what do they know?
They, they probably don't even know how to thread a needle.
My dad does, like, the maintenance on the machine for us,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
he'll time it for us and, like, help us
Okay.
with certain things, so he can do some things, but Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
just go back to your office. Bye-bye. Like, thank you for fixing the machine. Now get out. Bye.
Yeah.
But
Aw.
no, he's fine. But it's just funny, like the day-to-day stuff and just like, the decisions that need to get made. It's like I shouldn't we my I like don't feel like we should need to be asking them for permission for things that they don't even know why we would need it or what we're
Yeah.
like wanting it for, or we can explain it to them and they're just like, okay. They're like, yeah, sure, go buy that. We're like, okay, we didn't
Yeah.
need you to tell us that. But no, it's all good. But yeah, it can be trying sometimes just because I think we, mother daughter, it's like we trigger each other sometimes and we're like, I love you so much and I'm gonna go in the other room.
I need a break right now, so
Yeah.
I'll come back in 30.
Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
she just my mom will just disappear. I'm like, where'd she go? I'm like looking around because sometimes like if the machine's going and like we're working on stuff, it's like hard to hear if someone has come into the room. And so
Yeah.
my dad will like knock on the door jamb to like not
Yeah.
scare the shit out of us. Cause sometimes he'll walk in and be like, hey, and we're both like, my God, jump scare, like freak out.
Yeah.
But she'll just disappear. And I'm like, where did she go? And like 2 hours later, she comes back in. I'm like, where you been? She's like, oh, just doing stuff. I'm like, okay. It's funny, but
Yeah.
yeah, it has its own challenges, but also I think ultimately it's been really good and
Yeah.
made us both grow. And so, but yeah, doing it by myself. Like if she goes, because she's in grandma mode too, and goes
Yeah.
and spends time with my nieces and nephews, and or she'll like go, up to northern Idaho where like a bunch of our family is, like her side of the
Mhm.
family, and spend a week or so. And so when I'm by myself, I'm like, I can't get very much stuff done.
And it's awfully quiet too.
Yeah. I'm like always
Yeah.
have my AirPods in, like listening to stuff, or, my dad will be there usually, but he's working too. So
Yeah.
he's in his office on calls all day long because he's a
Yeah.
project manager.
Yeah.
So he's constantly on, like,
He's doing his own thing.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it is kind of nice to have other people, but also
Yeah.
nice when you can have your alone time too.
Exactly. To me, I usually put on some tunes and then I'll get to it. So while the machine is running, I'll go and bind a quilt,
Hmm.
or do like other stuff
Yeah.
that I have to do. So either
Yeah.
send invoices out
Hmm.
or order batting. So there's always something to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the nice part of having like the automated quilting is like you can let it go. You obviously need to be nearby and like be able to hear if
Yeah.
something's going wrong, but ultimately you can just like be in the same room but step away to do something different, like
Yeah.
to do something else. So that multitasking is like so nice.
Yeah. And
'Cause
I think with these machines, so it's crazy all the sounds that we that we memorize.
you're right.
Like this doesn't sound right. What's
Hmm.
going on? So you can tell by the sound if it sounds slightly different
Yeah.
that the machine is not doing what it's supposed to be be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
So then you gotta like take everything out, just like start again, and then if that sound goes away, then you're
Yeah.
back to normal,
You're
which
like,
which is
oh,
crazy. Which is
yeah.
crazy how much you can troubleshoot just by hearing the machine.
Right? I like sometimes think that the renters at the quilt shop thought I was so crazy because they would just be like quilting along and I'd be like, stop. And they're like, what? I'm like, the machine sounds funny. They're like, what are you talking about? And I would like go around and look at their quilt. I'm like, you ran out of thread, or like your bobbin was nesting and look at like, we got to rip out. They're like, how did you know? I'm like, I can hear it. They're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like,
Yeah,
nothing's wrong with me. Like, be grateful that you didn't just ruin your quilt. Like, but yeah, if you've like been hearing those sounds constantly, it's like
yeah,
you like fine
yeah,
tune your hearing to it. It's
yeah. I can hear when the machine needs oil. I can hear when the
mhm,
tension is sounds tight.
mhm,
It's insane. It's
yeah,
absolutely insane.
it's like a superpower.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really is.
You're like, I need my sewing ears on.
Yeah.
That's so funny. What is your like? So you said you like complicated quilts, but like, what is the quilt you've made that you're just the very most proud of?
So yeah. So the Alhambra Rosette quilt by Ty Flanagan. That's my favorite quilt of all time out of all the quilts that I made, because it's a queen size quilt. It's ginormous. It's all foundation paper pieced,
Oh, wow.
and it took me about a year on and off to complete it. That's like my pride and joy. Like I was gonna use it on my bed, but I was like, I changed my mind.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be folded and put in storage somewhere. So that's like my favorite, one of my favorite, my top
Yeah.
two, definitely my top two quotes
What's your
that
other
I
one
made.
then?
So the one that I just finished back in February, the tattoo quote
Okay.
by Breen from Happy So Lucky.
Hmm.
That's all foundation paper piece as well. It's I had a rough January because my doggy passed away, so
Oh,
so I was a mess.
yeah.
And
Oh, I'm sorry.
I really needed to keep my mind distracted. So that quote was kind of like my therapy.
Yeah.
So it really helped me focus on other things and keep my mind off of grief,
Hmm.
which is good. So that's a very special quote for me. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta quilt your feelings, right?
exactly. There was a lot of feelings in that quote,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
bet. Oh man, that's
yeah.
rough.
And I
January
didn't.
was like weird for people.
It was January was a crab fest.
Seriously.
So, and I was surprised how fast I could finish. I finished that quote literally like a month
What?
because I was like, every time I would get sad, I was like, okay, let's go sit in the sewing machine, let's put some music on and quote away.
Yeah.
And I did the whole thing in like a month, which is
Whoa.
crazy. Yeah.
That's so fast. Sorry, you were gonna say something and I interrupted you.
No, it was just that. It was just that
Mm.
quilting is like therapy,
Yeah.
pretty much. I started quilting during the pandemic
Hmm.
to get my mind off of everything that was going on, and it was really helped me get through that time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it was a saving grace for a lot of people. They had something to focus their energy into.
yeah,
And I think for, a lot of people started quilting because they're like, I need something to do. Like I'm just home all the time. And
yeah,
thankfully, like as a serial hobbyist, I've had, crocheting and sewing and, just the various different types
yeah,
of activities. So it's like, I can't imagine having to try to learn something new in that time
yeah,
when you didn't really have a lot of like in-person resources to get from because
yeah,
I leaned heavily on my support group, my besties and my mom, and learning to quilt from them, gave me the ability to do it in that hard time. But it's really
yeah,
cool that so many people came to it
yeah,
in that time too,
and
because
yeah. And me, I was always like, I'm not gonna learn quilting. Quilting's for old people. That's not for me.
right.
And look what it's turned into. It amazes me. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely fell in love with quilting after bashing it for so for so long. I feel like such a hypocrite, but
No.
I love it. Absolutely love it. It's like my zen. It
Yeah,
keeps me grounded, keeps me centered. Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's only hypocritical if you keep bashing it while you're doing it. So I think it's just a sign that you learned more and now you're just living in that new truth of having your new knowledge, right?
exactly. And it's crazy too because like I love all styles of quilting. I like modern, I like
Hmm.
traditional. Like I love it all. Like
Me too.
and I get to quilt so many different styles, and I think it's so cool. Like people have very different um they like so many different things.
Yeah.
So like some a style that I like might not be your cup of tea, and vice versa. So which is so cool. Which
Yeah.
is so cool. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like I think too, long arming has given me a new appreciation for styles of quilting that I definitely don't think I would have ever made for myself,
yeah,
but it exposes me to it and gives me an appreciation for it where, as if I just stuck with what I like or what I like to make, that I
yeah,
never would have experienced that. And so I'm really grateful for that aspect of it because it's given me a wider appreciation for all types of piecing and all types of quilting. So,
And I also feel too that I don't know if this is the same case for you, but I feel like long arming has made me a better quilter for somehow,
mhm,
which is crazy. Like I know I when I'm piecing something and I'm putting a quilt top together, I'm thinking like a long arm. Okay, well my long arm are like this,
yeah,
which is me. Like, well, I like this. Well, I like putting like quilting this on the frame. Is it going to load properly?
mhm,
Are the seams going to be nice and flat? Is it going to be square? So it makes me think of all these things
yeah,
while I'm piecing, which is crazy to me.
yeah.
So
No, I feel the same way, and I was literally just talking about this yesterday
yeah,
because we got a new client and she brought her quilt over. She walked in and we both just looked at each other kind of dumbfounded, and she was like, "Why do you look so familiar?" I was like, "Well, there's like one of four places I could know you from. It's definitely not the gym." Um, I was like, "Do you go to this are you in the guild, the BBQ guild?
yeah,
Are you do this?" And I was like, do you shop at this quilt shop?" And she was like, "You taught me long arming." And I was like, "Okay, there it is." And she's like, "Well, clearly I'm not doing it for myself." And I was like, "That's okay." And she's like, "But learning that gave me such a new appreciation for quilting." She's like, "It helped me so much." And I was like,
yeah,
"Really?" And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, actually, if I think about it, like I started being a better piecer when
yeah,
the more I long armed for myself, because yeah, exactly. You have to think about the end result and not just like, I don't want to fix my seams. Well, fix them, or that foot on the long arm is going to catch in that hole and it's going to rip your quilt apart. Like, would you rather that, or would you rather like put your seams together correctly?
exactly,
So
exactly. Yeah,
I think it is
yeah,
just being able to see the whole picture versus just, well, I just made my top and I sent it to my long armor. It's like, great,
yeah,
but there are things you can do that
yeah,
will make your long armor's life easier, but also make you a better quilter in the long run. So
yeah.
I'm
And,
with you.
yeah, and the other day I got a quote. Everything was perfection. The
Mm.
seams are perfectly pressed.
Oh man.
The quilt was like nice and square.
Oh,
Like her lines were impeccable.
oh man.
I sent her a message like, "Oh my god, you almost made me cry because this thing took no time at all to load on the frame." And I was like, "This
Yeah.
is amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you for making my job so much easier."
Right?
And it quilted beautiful because there was no bulky seams. Everything was pressed properly, and I just loaded it. I didn't have to like steam it
Oh man.
because I usually steam a quilt while it's on the frame.
Mhm.
Because usually when people mail it in, it gets all
Yeah.
crinkly. This one was absolutely perfection.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it
That
trimmed
is
beautifully too. I didn't
oh,
have to. Everything was nice and square. It was perfect. It was chef's kiss, perfection.
oh my god. That's
So,
it is
so you do get
magic.
those every now and then.
Yeah.
And then you get the beginner quilters. Not to shame the beginner quilters. We all
No.
started somewhere.
Mhm.
It's just I'll quilt anything. Anything you send me, I'll quilt it.
Yeah.
But every now and then you encounter problems like the seams are not properly stitched. You have to go in there, put like a little bit of glue or like
Mhm.
hand stitch it to close the holes.
Yeah.
But it's just again, we all started somewhere. So I
Right.
don't shame anybody.
No.
Again, whatever you send me, I'll quilt it. If
Mhm.
there are any issues, I'll shoot you a text or send you an email,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just about the learning. It's like I keep returning to that concept of like you and your long armor are a team. And so like if you trust your long armor that they're just trying to help you, like, I mean, there's definitely better ways to talk to people than sometimes being like, your quilt was terrible. It's like,
yeah,
well, I'm not going to go there, but here's a couple of things we ran into. So next time, just watch for this. Like,
yeah,
I'm never here to shame anybody because I think, like you said, we all start somewhere. We
yeah,
all have varying levels, like skill levels and abilities to do certain things. And,
yeah,
I think if we catch those things as long armors, it's important for us
yeah,
to let them know and not just be like, well, I'm not talking to them or I'm not going to tell them because
yeah.
they should know. It's like, how are they supposed to know if nobody tells them?
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so,
Yeah, and I'm not the code police. I'm not here to
yeah,
find you or anything. I'm here to
no,
work with you. We can both
yeah.
learn from this.
Uh-huh.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
want your quilts to look absolutely beautiful, so
Right.
that when you use it, you'll think of me.
Exactly. It's like, I'm trying to help you help me help you. So
Exactly. Exactly.
there's no, yeah, no hard feelings and no like, yeah, no judgment. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, just watch for this thing. And then
Yeah.
it's like it can be that simple. And then the next time you get that a quilt from that person, you don't have that same issue because
Yeah.
they just needed to know. And especially with long arming, it's like I know I made an episode all about like how to prep your quilt and like
Yeah.
how to work with your long armor to like understand that and why it's so important. And it really is because we each have the way that our machine works and
Yeah.
we know what works for our machine best. So if we're asking you for something, it's not just because we feel like it, it's because we have needs and
Yeah.
able to make sure or to enable like us to make sure your quilt looks good.
Yeah.
And it's only in ever in our hearts to have your best interest at heart to like
Exactly.
do the best we can for you. So
Yeah.
I think if people just remember that, like, we're not trying to do a gotcha, you can have a really beautiful relationship and
Yeah.
make some really beautiful things together.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have people that keep bringing me quilts to this day.
Mhm.
People that when I first started back in February last year, they're still bringing me quilts. So,
Yeah,
which is amazing. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And like Emily and I were talking about too, it's like when you find your long armor and you have that relationship, there's nothing like it because it's like, your baby is about to get taken care of and you don't have to
Exactly.
stress about it and be like, I don't know if they're going to do a good job. It's like, no, they're
Yeah.
going to do a fantastic job. And, you know, not every long armor is for every quilter. And so you have to find that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to go through a couple first,
Yeah.
but
I,
ultimately when you
yeah.
click,
Yeah. Absolutely. I think like have like finding alarm was like going to a barber that you've been going to
right.
forever, or going to a hairstylist you've been going to forever. That person knows what you like, what you don't like. So it's
Hmm.
important to have a good relationship with your long arm,
Yeah.
because like you said, we'll take care of your baby
Hmm.
as if it was our own. So
Exactly.
because we
Yeah,
know how much blood, sweat, and tears goes into putting a coat top together.
exactly.
It's not easy. It's not easy. So
No.
yeah, we understand.
No.
We're quilters too. We know, we've
Hmm.
been there. We know what the struggle is. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Boy, do we. And even long
Mm.
arming produces blood, sweat, and tears. If you, I think I noticed on your machine you use what are they called? The clips
So I use
or the
so I
snap.
so I use the magnetic soul tights, the long arm ones.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of, I've been kind of lazy, so I installed them on the I've only installed them on one bar. I still have to install them on the other bar.
Okay.
So I'm just still pinning the top bar,
The top.
and
Okay.
then the belly bar I use the magnets because it's a lot quicker.
Okay.
But again, that's me been a little lazy because I have to sew in the magnets to the top bar.
Oh, okay.
That'll eventually get done, but I like the magnets because it's loading the quilt back on there is just so quick.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We
But
still have our
I love it.
zippers. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I do the zippers too because so I just sewed the magnets onto the zippers, the zipper leaders. That way I can just
Okay.
take it on and off. Because sometimes you still need to pin
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have enough. The client doesn't give you enough backings,
Uh-huh.
so you got to pin it to the edge on the edge of its life to the
Yeah.
leader. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get that many of those because a lot of people read the instructions on the website, which is
Yeah.
good. But every now and then, people are a little short, so it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. That flexibility is so nice.
Yeah,
Sometimes we pin just directly to the canvases, but if we can, but a lot of times, yeah, we like at least use the zippers for the backing and then we'll
yeah,
float our quilt tops a lot just because it gives us a little more freedom to like
yeah,
wiggle it into
yeah.
place and
I'm a floater too. I'm not a Yeah. I'm a floater.
yeah. Well, because if it's not
Floater for
square,
life. Yeah.
yeah. Floater for life.
If it's not square,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You have to float it anyway because you're
Yeah.
not going to be able to get it to cool properly
Yeah.
because you still got to manipulate the fabric, the cool top.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. And that's where like your steamer comes in handy and, being able to kind of feed some of that extra volume into the quilting. And if
Yeah.
you're stuck to a zipper, you can't do that. You don't have that ability to,
Flexibility. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear. I'm like, sometimes people are like, no, I always pin, I always, I'm like,
No.
okay, that stresses me out, but that's fine. It's not my
In,
shit.
in the beginning, that's what I did, but
Hmm.
it's just not worth the time that goes into it.
Yeah.
Again, if that cool top is not square,
Yep.
because you're gonna probably end up undoing it anyway. So there's
Yep.
really no point. So I just use my magnetic bars to hold the cool top in place,
Yeah.
and I'll just take it from there.
Yeah.
You know.
It's fun, like, because I think at first, we were pretty religious about attaching it,
Yeah.
everything to zippers and getting it on there. But the more we got comfortable with the machine and the more we got comfortable with, our artistry of long arming, it's like, no, we know what's best. It's like
Exactly.
there
Exactly. You
might be,
know you know what's best for you in your
yeah,
process. So
yeah. And some quilts, they do need to be on that zipper because, you know, just for whatever reasons. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just interesting. Like it's fun to like think back and be like, oh my gosh, I used to be so scared of XYZ and now I just like do it without thinking, or, just the things that you come through to get to the point where you just like so comfortable with all of it that like you're not worried about the same things. Or, I think it's that way with like every skill or craft that you pick up, but I think especially around a long arm because it's, heavy duty
Yeah.
machinery, and those needles they mean business. And,
Yeah.
if you think about how many times those needles have to punch through layers and layers of fabric, and, it's like, okay, it's dangerous, but it's like
Yeah.
also if you can get so familiar with it that you understand it and know how to work with it, you're less likely, I think, to get into a trouble spot. But
Yeah. And I always say there's always 20 different ways to do the same thing.
yeah,
So again, you just got to do what works for you
yeah,
and what's going to get you to finish that quote. So
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any like tried and true tips or tricks to share with the listeners that just like get you through anything no matter what?
Um, Sometimes it helps to, if you're struggling, stop, turn the machine off, go get something to eat or a drink,
Uh-huh.
and come back to it. Because there's been times where I wanted to pull my hair out,
Uh-huh.
but once I stop and take a little break, I'll go watch a show or something, and then I come back to it, and I'm level-headed again.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's my main. Sometimes you just need a little, you just gotta walk away
Yeah.
because if it's aggravating you too much, you're not gonna make the best decisions while you're upset and aggravated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
I
and
love
use a lot of steam, a lot
that.
of I use
So
a
much
lot of
steam.
steam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
For sure. It's like it's amazing because we didn't used to use it. And then like last summer we took a class and the teacher was like, steam the shit out of it. Or like, how do you deal with all this? He's like, steam the shit out of it. We're like, really? He's like, yeah, watch. And so, in the class he showed how this quilt, it just had some extra volume in it, some like,
mhm,
you know, we didn't want to quilt creases in it. So he was like, watch how this works. And he just like steamed this spot forever and ever and just like kept easing it in and easing it in.
yeah,
And the whole thing quilted out flat and square. And I was like, oh my God, it was like such a game changer.
yeah,
And like nobody had ever told us that before. We never knew
yeah,
that before. And so now it's like almost an invincibility.
yeah.
Like I
Like I'm
can
not,
quilt anything.
yeah, exactly. I'm not much of a starcher. Like I don't really use starch like what quills on the frame because I
No.
don't want to stain the quilt. I'll
Hmm.
use maybe like a little bit of distilled water,
Hmm.
but that's about it. But the steam, it just works absolutely amazing, and it just relaxes those fibers. It
Hmm.
shrinks the quilts a little bit. So,
Hmm.
like you
Yeah.
said, steam the shit out of it.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Yeah. When in doubt,
Yeah,
steam the shit out of it. Yeah. I like
yeah,
that. That's good. Good
yeah.
tips. And yeah, walking away.
Walk away, take a
Mhm.
break,
Just
go
walk
outside,
away.
walk the dog,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
get a
good.
glass of wine. That helps, and come back
Some
to it.
little liquid courage to take on
Exactly.
the challenge.
And if you have to turn off the machine for the night, that's fine too.
Mhm.
It'll be there in the morning. You can continue exactly where you left off. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we're only human, right?
yeah,
Like we're working magic as long armors, but we're still just people.
exactly. We're not robots.
No,
Yeah,
unfortunately. But also fortunately, I don't know.
yeah.
Oh man. Well, it has been so awesome chatting with you
Yeah,
today. And
yeah, thank you for having me. It's been
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I'm so excited. Like I just love learning about all new people and like getting
Yeah.
connected to new people. So this has been
Yeah.
really cool. And
And I think it's cool to have conversations with the other long arms
yeah.
because you understand the struggles and you relate to them. So
Yeah.
like because sometimes I'll be talking to like non long armor people that
Mhm.
quote, and they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. They're like,
So it's cool.
"What?"
It's cool to have the camaraderie with someone who understands that the struggle is real
Yeah, exactly.
when it comes to long arming. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
for sure. Absolutely. Well, yeah, thanks again. And I'm so excited that we're connected now.
Yeah,
And I am looking forward to seeing more of your work because it's beautiful.
thank
And I can
thank
see
you,
why
thank you,
Emily
thank you
loves you
so
so
much.
much.
Yeah. Yeah, she's such a sweetheart. Such a
Yeah,
sweetheart. Yeah,
she's the greatest. But
yeah,
cool. Well, thanks.
yeah.
And hopefully we'll
Thank
talk
you.
again soon.
Yeah, I'll see you at QuiltCon 2024.
Yeah, baby.
Mm.
Thanks.
All right, you have a good one.
Thanks
Bye.
you. Bye.